The boy child is falling behind and it might lead to the Third World War. Let's get into this. I've been a tutor for several years. I've tutored kids, and this is what I've noticed. When you speak to the girl child, there's sort of an incremental thinking that happens in their minds. You will ask them naturally, so what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to study? They'll tell you, I want to study medicine, I want to study law, I want to study accounting, I want to study education, I want to study whatever. And even though because they're kids, they don't have a step one, step two, step three approach, but the girl child will say step one, step three, step five. Like they will think there's still gaps in their logic, but the gaps in their logic are because they're kids. For example, they will say, I want to study medicine, but they will tell you, I'm not quite sure how to get an 80% in math, right? I'm currently getting 50s. I think I'm going to study, but I'm not sure how I'm going to study in order to get that 70% or that 80%. But the difference is they know. They know what the goal is. They know how to get there. They might have gaps. But when you talk to the boy child, they will tell you, I want to be a billionaire from a trick. And then you think, my goodness, you went from step one to step 100. Who's going to fill in the next 98 steps? Because it's not even realistic. But the issue with the boy child is that they don't even understand that it's not realistic. It's when you start questioning them and say, okay, you're going to be billionaire. How are you going to make your first 100,000? That they say, oh, I don't think about that. Let's bring some statistics into this. In 2024, more than 800,000 learners sat down for the NSC, right? Metric NSC. Of those, it is reported that 72,000 more girls passed their NSC than boys. From the years 2021 to 2023, a cumulative 200,000 plus girls passed their NSC more than boys. Of those 200,000, 124,000 plus got a bachelor's admission. That is telling us the boy child is falling behind at a matric level. Then let's bring it lower. There was a study done with 57 countries for grade 4 literacy rates. 57 countries participated. And of those 57, 52 countries, the girl child was excelling far beyond the boy child. Already at a grade 4 level, the boy child is not catching on. So what normally happens when the boy child is left behind? What happens is the boy child that is left behind tends to go into politics. This is an observation I've made. They may not go and join a political party. They may not go and run to be the next mayor, but they will lead political conversations. They will start podcasts where they talk about cultural and political conversations. And when that happens, countries or societies tend to lean right wing, because when they lean right wing, it will balance this incompatibility. Because if the girl child at grade 4 already is doing so much better than the boy child, who is this girl child going to marry one day? Because now women don't need men for a bank account, a house, a car, anything, you know. So these women are not going to choose to marry these men that are falling behind. So the men that fall behind and are unable to catch up will drive the political conversation. Because once they drive political conversations, they can get these women that are doing better than them to feel bad and abandon their intellectual activities. Once we preach enough right-wing philosophy, once we preach enough treadwife philosophy, the women that are doing so much better in STEM, the women that are doing better in the arts, the women that are doing so much better in other activities will abandon them to raise a family. I'm not saying raising a family is a bad thing. Hang on to the logic. Catch my drift. They will abandon all of these activities to be treadwives, therefore balancing the scales. Let's make a practical example. There is a class of 10 children, 5 girls, 5 boys. Of this class, 5 girls pass, they do well. Of the boys, only 3 boys pass and do well. These 2 that are left behind start driving a political narrative that girls should not be in college, girls should not be in university. A good woman stays behind and marries any man, blah, 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 blah. Of these 5, 3 get the message, start feeling guilty. They drop out because they want to be good women, start families. Who's left? 2 girls, 3 boys. The scale has balanced out. But the issue with that is if enough women are guilt-tripped by right-wing philosophy, who's going to be left to make those decisions in the judicial space, in the academic space, in any space? it's going to be the men. Now, let's go into World War III. Let's look at President Donald Trump. Think about who finds President Donald Trump to be a voice to themselves and says, you know what, I feel like this man appeals to me. A president who has very little respect for his opponents, a president who thinks Twitter is a space and a place to just make a State of the Nation address. Who finds that sort of president appealing? It is someone who feels I nearly said disjointed. It's someone who feels, which no man, I was robbed. I should have had a better life than this. And when people start supporting this right-leaning or right-wing or extreme right-wing leaders, the country goes right-wing. And if they're right-wing enough, they'll start a war. That's how Hitler got into power. Because enough Germans had felt that, you know what, we need someone vocal, we need someone extreme, we need someone who's going to take us out of this mess. And who was the right candidate? Hitler. He wasn't even a German. He wasn't even German. So that's what happens when we continue to neglect the boy child being left behind. I, for one, can stand here and say, Angnandaba, Maslima Zitin, I don't care. But at the end of the day, if we keep not caring that the boy child is being left behind, it will drive politics, it will drive the economy, it will drive the future for the girls. Because you see countries like Afghanistan are trying to sort of find the balance again. And what are they doing? Pulling girls out of school. What are they doing? Now they're legalizing. I'm not sure if it's Afghanistan, but I know there are countries that are pushing to legalize child marriage. Because if the girl child gets married at 12 and she quits school, then the boy child can finally catch up. Because there's two ways you do any sort of catching up. You either put in the work and catch up, or you sabotage the one that's ahead of you. That's what's going to happen. So we cannot afford to not care, unfortunately, that the boy child is being left behind. But even then, what can we do? Because this is a system that the boy child created. We just so happen to thrive in it. But my chat is, if we want to see a society that is going to be more central, if we want to see a society that is going to be economically thriving, we unfortunately have to care for the boy child being left behind. Otherwise, we will find ourselves in situations where there's threats of war all the time. And one thing about war, it is a very great equalizer of human beings.